back to the channel. Today is a really exciting day because I'm taking the Durango Hellcat over to the body shop and we're gonna fix the little issue with the front core support not lining up. So it just looks like it's about maybe an 1/8 or a 1/4 inch out and about an 1/8 or a 1/4 inch like this way a little bit. So all we're gonna have to do is give it a little tug, measure everything, make sure that strut tower isn't pushed over. But what I'm gonna do now is move over the engine and transmission so I can get the Durango out of the shop. What do you think of the color, Chris? Yeah? First time being on YouTube.
Me?
Yeah, right now.
I was on your YouTube.
Oh, were you? I can't remember. That was a long time ago. Yeah, I can't wait to have that thing all the way painted, but...
What color is that?
Striker green, same thing that comes on the ACR Viper.
Oh.
Yeah. So Chris is going to be straightening out the little bit of frame tweakage that we have going on. The first time seeing this color outside, it's crazy clean. This is the first time I've seen the Durango outside in the sun, and I must say I'm very happy that Chris chose this color for me. I mean, I kind of, you know, once I saw it, I was like, yeah, this is the color. But Chris showed it to me. It just makes all of the body lines pop on this thing just because it's so, you know, it just shifts. So crazy of a color. Chris has this laser measuring system, and this is all the points, and it's just a movable track. He's gonna hook some stuff up.
Put the vehicle in there, and then it goes to the setup page. The first step is to get your zero line, which is A and B. Zero line, this would be called the torque box from A to B, and you cannot measure anything else without this being true square points. So if you have a vehicle that is a full frame that has diamond or something, you actually have to pull that diamond out by doing cross measuring without the sonar. Set your zero line first, and then you could do all your measurements from that point. So first one we're going to hook up is A here. You click on it and it will tell you, it'll go to the screen here. It says use C30 and an E100. When you open these drawers here, these are all your probes, extensions, and measurements. So here's a probe that we hook to, and these are magnetic.
Oh.
These are all labeled here, which this is an E100S. It's probably this one here. So you touch this, and then the C30 is the fitment that attaches into the hole, which is probably this one here. A C30, they're labeled. So this one here, you gotta put it in in the hole, it'll show you if you don't know which hole you're going to, you go up here to zoom or you hit F4 and it'll show me there's a square hole there.
I'm glad it's on the frame because I don't have this piece on the car right now.
Yeah, well, what's bad is if it was in there, like you said, you got to have everything torqued down or it could throw a false reading.
Yeah.
But since you've done so much on this, you would know that, hey, these aren't tight, so you have to get those tightened down.
Yep.
So go back to the F1 screen. This here, the way this screen's printed out, this should be the driver's side, so you're going to start with A. And on the beam, you see this arrow? This arrow is reversible depending on how you put it in. Always put the arrow towards the front of the vehicle. That way you know you can keep it. One side's odd measurements or numbers, and the other side's even numbers. So when you plug this in, sometimes it's automatic. So it's up in there. This C30 is probably not going to fit in there unless they're wanting to go to that point. And we don't have to go to this point. We could modify it. There's a bolt hole here. The main thing you want to look for is make sure they're always symmetrical. I can't use this tip in here if I modify this point. I'm going to put it here because I'm thinking that that's where they wanted it from. And we'll just do it as a check. If it don't zero out, then we know that it's this point, because it was actually measuring to the square hole back in there. So we tighten these down with this Allen head.
Oh, it just kind of clamps it in.
Yeah, they hold, and you don't ever want to forget these on a customer's car because they're pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So since we're building our torque box first, which this is A, back there is going to be B to those ports. You always go to this inner one here first, but you can slide this back and forth. So our first one's going to be 7. And once we plug this in, if we have power and communication to that, it should read. Now we have another issue here is that it's too long. So we definitely, if you go changing any of these, you have to modify that point. And it could throw a variant in height, length, width, everything. So you got to make sure you're using exactly what they say to match the factory measurements. So this point here is not going to work for us at all. I'll just put that in there for now. If you go in and you modify the points.
Are you? No, I think you're too far forward because that's on the frame and it wants it further back.
It could be.
It wants it right here in this square.
Yeah, that'd be better.
So that'll be higher up too.
That's what I don't like about the photos, is because I saw this piece in there and it went through the second part. But it's worth a shot. You know, if it pulls some wacky measurement and you don't obviously see any damage in here, then you automatically know you got the wrong point. Which the Silverados and the Ford trucks and all that, because there's so many variances with the cab lengths and all that, they're the worst ones to do. You got to make sure you got the right frame.
Yeah.
It's experience on these. They'll tell you that, you know, you gotta know when you get something like that you're on the wrong one. On unibody vehicles, you should only have a tolerance of 3 millimeters. On full frame, you could have a allowance of 5 to 7. But the thing is when you're setting these up, you always need to have 0 in order to. You have to have your 0 lines all set. Your torque box, all measurements have to be at 0. And if they're not, then everything from that point could be off. When you align these are speakers. These are little sonar speakers in there, all through that beam. And they send an electrical pulse right here to these 2 little spots. So make sure those are facing the beams, and always make sure that the wires are out of the way. Let's see if that changed any. If not, I'll go adjust the other side. It's still down 5. But it's pretty close.
So it's 5 mil?
5 millimeters down, yeah.
And this is 1, right? Or that's different?
Yeah, those are 1 millimeters off, which those are, you could probably go in there and shift it just a hair, and those will be right in specs. I'm not sure if you have to take that off.
Oh, so it hangs around this way?
Yeah.
Shit, maybe you'll get lucky, it'll fit through a spoke. Oh, but the thing has to hang off of that too, huh?
Yeah.
Oh.
Might have one backwards.
So it looks like everything's in spec all of these points right here, A and B, are zeroed out. And these have, what, height 1 millimeter each, which isn't much. Then over here he put in a different, which was a 200 or something, so it's off 1 mil. And this is 4 mil, and this is just like a variance.
Because of the tire.
Because of the tire. Oh, because it's pushing it out.
Yeah.
So we have this set up right here. And it's just a little bit, if we had the tire off of it, it would be pretty much dead on. So I think we're gonna just call it on the strut tower. It doesn't have any buckling. The only thing that has any sign of damage is this, and we're just gonna pull this over, and Kris is gonna figure out where he's gonna pull it from.
I could actually measure that, and then that point will be a lot easier, and we can see how much that front is over.
Set up the point that I'm concerned about that needs to go over and maybe down, but he's adding the sonar, the little sonar sensor on the bottom of it, and we're gonna see how far it is out. And he also put a 10 up, so it's nice and shady now. Kris just measured this point on the upper frame rail where the fenders bolt, and it looks like it's off just a hair. So we're gonna give it a little tug. So it's length 5, width 8, and height. The height could be a little bit off, but it's 11, but we're gonna line everything up. Should work. Right, Kris?
Check it with a trim bar.
Yeah, I just thought it would be a good idea to check the frame rails, and they are in spec. So I think what might be going on, and he kind of hit this over with a mallet, and I think what might be going on is I just need to get a new one of these because it has a little dip right here. But everything else, I guess, what do you think?
I think it's in shape.
Ready to go? Ready to get the engine bay painted and put back together?
I'd go with it.
Hell yeah. We got Joe back over here taking the Durango back over to the junkyard. The Durango is now back at the junkyard, and man, I must say, out in the sun, even right in this lighting, she is so nice. I really love this paint. It just pops so hard. So I'm really happy that I took it over there. There wasn't anything frame-wise wrong. Even that upper rail was unaffected. It had, well, it was a little bit affected, but it didn't need to be pulled or pushed at all. So all we had to do was we got the part that bolts the upper core support slash the headlight, and we just had to push it down and move it to the back just a hair. But we did all of that with a rubber mallet with it bolted in, and now everything lines up perfectly. So big shout out to Kris at Champlain's. He, helped me with my Hellcat Challenger, and he's helped me out quite a bit. And he has, the laser alignment or sonar alignment that really worked out very well. So, I mean, we checked out all the points, the whole frame on the bottom straight. These rails are perfectly straight. I mean, they're almost zeroed out, which is really good, he said, for a factory car, because the allowance is like plus or minus 3 mil, and everything was almost zeroed. So very happy about that, even because the subframe, as you can see, the bolts had shifted in the accident. So I'm really just glad that I don't have to, I'm glad that we didn't have to push anything or pull anything. And I'm gonna end up buying a new one of these because I knew that it had a little dip in it, but I think that's another issue, and that was kind of why I couldn't line this up perfectly over here, because it was just giving me this weird thing, and then I was thinking the rail was moved over. So that being said, in the next video, I'll be able to spray the engine bay in the striker green. Then I can start assembling and putting everything back in the engine bay. I'll have the radiators in here. I'll get this piece. We'll have this in here. I can put the headlights on, everything, the oil cooler, pretty much everything that I pulled out of it, we'll get back on it. The one thing I'm not going to put back in here right away is the brake lines, because like I said, I'm going to Raptor the bottom of the car. So I don't want them under there taking up the space and then have to pull them back down. But besides that, I could put, the ABS pump, the air box, all that stuff back in here, that back carpet on the back of the firewall. I'm going to end the video here. If you like these videos, make sure to click that subscribe button, throw a thumbs up, throw a comment below. As always, see you guys next time.